If you are planning on settling down in China, you can actually like use this type of visa. You come, do your sightseeing, you see how China is, and then you decide that okay, you know what, I'm thinking that I might want to stay back in China. I remember looking for work in my own field compared to looking for jobs in English teaching, and I realized that the pay, the pay I was seeing as an English teacher was even way more than the pay for my own field. And I was like, why? Like, why?
I'm sick of all these thoughts that are stuck in my head. I'm sick of wishing I could just forgive and forget. I'm sick of all these thoughts that are stuck in my mind, my mind, my mind.
Hello everyone, welcome back again to my channel. If this is the first time that you're joining, I want to say a very big welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to get a visa in China. I know that this is the one video that you really need to watch when you're planning to move to China. You don't even know the best visa to apply for, or you don't even know so much about the visas. I'm going to be talking about it. Personally, for me, I'm currently on the student visa because I'm a student in University of Science and Technology. I'm currently doing my master's, and I've been in China for almost 4 years now with the student visa. But I just want to talk about the other visas that they have here. So, in case you want to apply for any one of them, you will be more informed about the visa that you can apply for. Okay. So I'm going to start with the number one on my list, which is the Chinese work visa. The Chinese work visa is also known as the Z visa. Okay. So this Z visa is for people who are trying to get a job here currently in China. Maybe you as a student, say if you have finished schooling and you're planning to stay back in China, you can actually as in try to get the work visa, though yes, you have to get a job in China, and you also have to have like something to show from your employer, that you've gotten a job. And sometimes if you're applying for this visa like from home, like from your own country, you require like after 30 days this visa can actually expire, and then you need to apply for the residency visa. So this is the visa that a lot of people use. Most of the people who are teaching English, most of the people who are teaching some courses in China, even people that are working, because there are some people who are working currently in China, and they use this visa to get a job or to just stay in China. So that's another visa that you can actually think about. The next visa I'm going to be talking about is the student visa. Okay, so the student visa is either is like X1 and S2. So for the S1 student visa is the visa that you're applying maybe if you're going to be staying in China for a very long period of time. Okay, so you're going to apply for the X1 visa. But the S2 visa is a visa that you're going to use maybe now if you are planning to stay for like 2 semesters or something. You're not really staying for more than 180 days, then you apply for the S2 visa. So most people who are doing like language, some people actually learn Chinese for a year. So I feel like this S2 visa is what they normally use when they're actually trying to apply for their visa in China. But if now you're a student, you're trying to do your bachelor's, you're doing your master's, your PhD, you are actually studying, and the period of time that you're going to be staying in China is a very long period of time, you're going to need to use the S1 visa. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next visa, which is the Chinese tourist visa. The Chinese tourist visa is the L visa. It's also known as the L visa. And this is the visa that a lot of people maybe now they want to come to do like tourists, they want to sightseeing of China and their culture and everything about China. Most times they like to apply through this visa. Sometimes even if you just want to come, use this visa and check if you want to stay or maybe you want to settle in China. That's another thing that you can do. If you are planning on settling down in China, you can actually like use this type of visa. You come, do your sightseeing, you see how China is, and then you decide that okay, you know what, I'm thinking that I might want to stay back in China. I think this is a visa that a lot of people use. And And this visa, some people stay more than like some people stay up to like 60 days, some people stay up to um 30 days or something. So this is another visa that a lot of people use. And talking about migrating to China also, I know a lot of people who used to say that how if they migrate to China, like how do they get permanent residency? So that's what discouraged a lot of people from coming to China because of that permanent residency. Actually, they have permanent residency. You can actually apply for permanent residency, but there are some requirements. It's not everybody that can apply for permanent residency. I know some people that are like they have the permanent residency. That's the green card. Most times, if you marry like a Chinese, if you marry a Chinese, you're entitled to have this green card, this permanent residency card. But I heard that even with marrying a Chinese, if you still have to meet some requirements, right? You have to have married this Chinese person for like more than 5 years. So you don't come and say, you want the permanent residency, or should I say it's a citizenship or something like that. Um yeah, they have citizenship, but you need to have that permanent residency for a while, right? So you now say now that you're applying for the green card, and that's the permanent residency, and then you marry someone for just 1 or 2 years and then you want to run away. No, you can't divorce. You have to be married for at least more than 5 years with this Chinese person before you can actually go ahead to apply for the green card. Okay. And also, some people actually, like, if you are planning to do business, right? Maybe you are planning to do business, you're trying to invest in the locals, in things of China. You're like literally trying to invest in China. They will surely want to check your accounts. They want to know how much you have, and you have to be that you are rich, you have money in your accounts. Then they'll be like, okay, you know what? We're gonna allow this person to come stay in our country. Also, there's also like the Chinese business visa, and then this business visa is if now you're planning to come and see a client in China, or you're coming to see like a customer in China. You can apply for this visa, and this visa is also referred to as the F visa. And with this visa, you have to have a valid passport of at least 6 months until its expiring date. Then you have to have like your invitation letter. Your invitation letter must be really detailed. Your invitation letter must also include the relationship between you and the Chinese company. So let's say now you are planning to come visit the Chinese company that you are trying to like, that you are having like this kind of business with. You need to ensure that in your invitation letter, the relationship that you have between this Chinese company and yourself is there, okay? So that you now come with any kind of visa, and then what? She'll just like allow you in. No, if it's that everybody will just be coming to China with just any company. After all, when you are buying things online on Alipay or all this platform, you're buying all these things they are getting, you can easily just be like, I want to go see my clients, right? You can see anybody that you want to see, but you have to have a good relationship with anybody that you are saying, oh, you are going to come and see currently in China. The reason that I feel like a lot of people use this business visa is because it's one of the easiest way. Even in China, let's say now you finish studying in China, you want to still stay back in China, you can actually still use the business visa, and you have to pay a certain amount, which is around like 8,000 RMB. You have to pay the amount if you like feel like you want to stay back in China and use the business visa to stay back in China. You have to be able to pay like around that price, which is 8,000 RMB. But a lot of people they want to move to China, and some of them they just use the work visa, because after all, even if you go ahead to get the permanent residency, there's not much advantage with you as an international that have like just this normal visa. Though the only thing is that you not have to be paying like yearly compared to the people that are with the green card. You not be paying yearly, but it does not mean that just because you have the green card they cannot revoke it. They can still revoke it, so you cannot be like too you cannot be too confident that yes, I have gotten the green card. Yes, see, China, anything can happen. You can, if you like, get the green card. If you do not if you not do what they want you to do, if you disobey the rules and regulation, they can still revoke that card from you. Okay, so yeah, some people go ahead, like when they marry a Chinese person, they can apply for this visa. Okay, I know a lot of my friends that graduated, and the way they're able to stay back in China was to get a job in China. Then they applied for work visa, and they're currently working in the place they're in. Most of them are even in Beijing. Yeah, most of them are in Beijing, and they got to work and they are working. But so many people, they are sent back home. Like I know one guy from my course, from my field, who told me that he tried applying for a lot of jobs, did not get, and he had to go back home, which was so shocking because I remember that his countrymates applied for a job to teach English, and the contribute is still around, still teaching English. But for him, he said he had been applying for jobs to teach English, and he did not get. But I couldn't understand that because there are still so many ways you can actually stay in China if you want to, right? There are so many ways you can actually stay in China. Like most people don't want to stay in China because they feel like okay, if they stay in China, they don't have like this permanent residency. Like you have to marry a Chinese, or there are some things you have to do that probably you don't want to do just to get a permanent residency compared to other countries. So people prefer like, you know what, I'm gonna just go to another country and try out and see if I'll get. But I still feel like you can still stay, there are some things you can do. You can actually do like 1 year Chinese. I know some people that do 1 year Chinese. Yes, they will do like 1 year Chinese, and then they would stay, right? And still there are some people who say, you know what, I want to start a business in China, and they start up a business. They start up like any business of their choice in China, and after a period of time, do you see them that they are settled? The only thing is the language barrier. A lot of people don't know how to speak Chinese. It's also something that discourages a lot of people. But if you learn Chinese, if you can speak Chinese, you can have a fluent communication with the Chinese people. I don't think it's going to be like that difficult for you to settle in if you have money, because one thing about settling in any country, they want to know that you even have money saved. When you're applying for visa, they will want to know how much is in your account. They want to know that you have money in your account, okay? Not that you're just coming to take. And you also have to think about the taxes that you have to pay. So if you're going to be staying in China, you're going to be working, you need to pay taxes. And even when you want to apply for, maybe now you've stayed for a while, like maybe you stayed for like 5 years and you want to go ahead to apply for like a permanent residency or something, and you have money, to stay in China, they would also want to know, like, do you pay taxes, or you're just here just taking from them? You have to be paying taxes to be like, okay, I'm going to stay here, and there are a lot of people who pay huge amount of money just because of they want to stay in China. But me, I really think I would prefer you just getting a job or work in China, get a visa. It's much preferable. It's much preferable than having to, pay all those money, like the huge amount of money just for business that you want to start up a business. One of my friends told me that he's going to try to get married to a Chinese lady. That was so funny because I had to convince him. I understand how much you'd want to stay in a country, but then you saying that you have to marry like a Chinese lady because you want to stay in the country, it doesn't make any sense to me. To be honest, it doesn't make any sense. And I know that there are a lot of internationals that are using this route. They marry a Chinese and then they go ahead to stay back in the country. I don't see any reason why you need to stay in a country through marriage when you don't love the person that you are marrying just because you want to stay in the country. Why don't you look for other means, like those other means I spoke about? You can even use the business means, you can use the student means, whereby you register for a Chinese course, a year Chinese course, and while you register, you're doing that course, you can be working, and use that to stay in China for a while before you get a job, rather than saying you want to get married just because you want to stay. And there are even some churches that actually like give visa. Like I know that there was a girl who she was working in this company and then they sacked her just before she was about getting her visa. And what she did was that she went to the church to work with the church. So imagine now, if you're a Christian or a Muslim, I think even Muslims, they should have these things. Other religion, I'm sure they should have these things whereby they can also give visas to some of the church workers. So I remember like when she lost her job, she actually went to work with the church, and it was so cool that they could help her. Because just imagine, if you are going to go through the route of working in China to get a visa, that means your fate is in the hands of your employer. Like you will just be in the mercy of your employer. And that can really be dangerous, to be honest. I know it can be dangerous, but in other countries it's also like that, like having to apply for visa. You can apply through your employer. Other countries, I know that one person I know, it's just that other countries, when you're applying for that work visa, look at it that it's permanent residency. Like you've already gotten a permanent residency, not that you are doing, not that it's like a visa, if you know what I mean. But here, even if your work visa, you still need to renew it every year. As an international, you still need to pay some money there every year to renew it. So I remember that the girl actually lost her job. There was even a video I watched of this international that the employer was beating. I don't know what he did, and the employer was really beating the guy. And for me, I would say that I won't want to say that, oh, since I watched this video of this employer beating this guy because this guy is working for him, that maybe that's how a lot of employers are going to treat you. I won't say that, because I know that that's not the case. There are some really good employers. If you do what you need to do, why would someone need to disrespect you or treat you a certain way? Because at the end of the day, just because you're working for someone, you're also bringing into the table, right? You're bringing in your experience, you're bringing in your own expertise. So nobody should disrespect you. But if you understand the situation in China, it's easy to understand why it's not so easy to get like this permanent residency as an international. Because number one, they already have the population currently. Like China is the most populated country in the world. I mean, in the world. And we're talking about billions and billions of people, right? And then you now as an international, where they are even trying to reduce the population of their country. They are trying to reduce the population of their country, whereby you can only give birth to like two children. Before it was actually one child that they were allowed to give birth to. Now they give birth to just two children, right? So now imagine a country that they are trying to reduce their population by giving birth to like two children every for every parent. And now you're expecting them to just be bringing in every international to their country. It's not going to work like that. But I also know that because of the fact that they have reduced the population, whereby they say, oh, you can only give birth to like two children. I also know that the workforce, that means the people available for work, it's not a lot of people, right? So that's why I feel like China always wants people to work in their country, or wants like people around that age that can work to be available in their country, so that it can help them boost their economy. Because most of the population in China is mostly the old people, compared to the young ones in the country. So the workforce is really low. That's what I think. So if you're someone that want to even come and do like entrepreneurship, stuff like that, I feel like you can actually do it. And if you're someone that you just want to, experience China for its beauty, and because China is very convenient. It's very convenient. You can literally teach English and settle here, and the pay is much. I remember looking for work in my own field compared to looking for jobs in English teaching, and I realized that the pay The pay I was seeing as an English teacher was even way more than the pay for my own field. And I was like, why? Like, why? Like, even with zero experience, to be honest. Though most of the teaching jobs of recent, I started seeing that they're asking for 2 years experience, they were asking, oh, 2 years experience, 2 years experience. Some of them, they will even be specific. They will say that they are looking for a native speaker. And some of them will even be like, you know what, I want someone from South Africa, someone from New Zealand, someone from US, like literally specific countries that they know that they teach English, or they are English speakers, or they are native speakers, but they don't know. There are some African countries like Nigeria, like where I'm from, or let's say Ghana, we speak English. Like, take for example now, me that I don't even know my own language. I don't know my language, I speak English. So when they say native speaker, I will tell them I'm native speaker. Yes, I'm native speaker. Yeah. But all I'm trying to say is that these are all the processes of applying for visa. And if you're thinking of relocating here, it's easy if you know the language. That's what I've noticed. If you know how to speak Chinese, it's easier for um you. But if you don't know how to speak Chinese, it's going to be very, very difficult. And you can also come through the route of in through the route of study visa, study visa. Yeah, so these are all the opportunities I feel like I'm bringing to you. So these are the visa information I think I can share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, like my video, subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye for now.